who's going to lead this section, but I did want to share this little anecdotal story. It was when I was Director of Development of the Fulton County unit of the American Heart Association. And we had these ungodly early morning meetings. And I'm the type of person who will wake up for duck hunting and little else, you know, on mornings. But nonetheless, I did what I thought I was supposed to do. I went by Dunkin' Donuts and got some coffee and got some donuts, and you know, I just wanted the volunteers that were meeting to have something to feel welcome. And our Heart Fund chair was Barry Phillips. He was kind of my Dutch uncle. He really took me under his wing. He was a high-powered Kilpatrick and Cody attorney. Everybody that Barry called, people would return his, you know, his phone call. Just a great guy from Valdosta. And he said, "Rob, let me tell you, you are doing a great job. I really appreciate all the, you know, time and attention coming to meet with me, all these things, and what you do. But let me just remind you that most people involved in the American Heart Association come here because they've had heart issues. You know, and we don't need to be, you know, eating these donuts, you know. And I think it'd be more appropriate, instead of donuts and coffee, would be to have juice and fruit, you know. And the light goes on. And I'm just thinking, okay, you can't just kind of go through the perfunctory motions when you're dealing with volunteers. You really have to zero in on them and attend to them. And I kind of just say, you know, I'm just a guy, you know. And I was doing the best I can, but you really have to attune yourselves to where your volunteers are, what motivates them, you know, for coming and participating, and to kind of to meet them there. So that's kind of an introductory story to the importance of tuning yourself to your volunteers. Let me just say that it seems to me that the people that we want as our volunteers are the people who are already slammed, busting every valve in their life. In some ways, for them, time is more of a precious commodity than money, you know, and that's why when we do have them, you know, at a meeting, we need to be conscious of being stewards of their time, and that's one reason why I like to have timed agendas. Not so much for everyone to see, but at least for the people who are on the agenda to kind of understand, okay, you have 10 minutes, you know, and then we need to shift to the next. So I think we need to try to move to a place where we have that kind of structure just to protect everyone's time. So with that little fun story, I'll give you over to Gina.
So, but now since then, you know, obviously Razor's Edge is very complex, and so I've lost a lot of what I learned because I don't use it all the time. I remember some of it, and I kind of remember some of the things it pulls, but if you were to tell me to enter it and enter it in the right place, it's not really that user-friendly. But there's a lot that it's like our brains, you know, we don't use nearly as much of it as we have. And what we do have, we don't always use it well. But if you're very versed in it, it's great. But what the problem is sometimes is an organization will have one person that knows the system. Well, when that person's on vacation, when that person leaves, dies, for goodness sake, what you can do. So it being very complicated can be more complicated in the long run too. And we'll talk a little bit about databases. You know, there's Donor Perfect. There's a lot of different things. There's some free ones out there. When I was at Trinity, we started out using an Excel spreadsheet, and then converted to Access. The company I used to work for kind of created our own software through Access, and it was great, but we couldn't keep up with updates and retraining and all those kind of things, and we kind of let it go along the wayside. But it was a little bit simpler. It was specifically for capital campaigns, really. You know, whereas Razor's Edge you can use for your annual fund, your, you know, just everything. And it hooks, I guess, to Financial Edge and all these other things.
But it's also always having updates.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, whatever you use, it needs to, don't be the only one that knows how to use it, and make sure that your whole staff at least knows enough to make sense out of it.
What are y'all using?
Razor's Edge.
Razor's Edge. Everybody? Why?
Razor's Edge.
Okay.
I was gonna say, what do you?
Excel?
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
That's doable. I mean, if you know, how many records do you have? Do you know off the top of your head, like how many donors or how many prospects are in your database?
Off the top of my head, probably about 75.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All
And
right.
that's do you do electronic screening?
We don't.
Okay. Well,
We don't even use Financial's Edge.
Okay. We'll get into the electronic screening a little bit too, because I use it a lot. And our clients use it a lot. It helps us identify people that may not be on the radar.
What's it called?
It's called Donor Search.
Donor
There's
Search.
Donor Search, there's Wealth Engine, which the guy used to be at Wealth Engine, started Donor Search. And I think the customer service at Donor Search is just a lot better, but they're both pretty much the same. They pull from the same records, from the same databases. It shows you, you know, who they've given to other organizations. It shows you what boards they sit on, some of the relationships that they have.
Makes you love America.
If they have aircraft, if they have boats or whatever, a certain footage, you know, if they have
This is Donor Search?
Donor Search. And sometimes if you don't have information, if you have a lot of blanks on there like birth dates, sometimes they'll pull their birth dates too. If you have, really, if you have the names, the spouse name, their address, that'll get you really close. If you have information about their past giving with your organization too, that'll help pull more specific. The more information you have, the more it pulls. You know, I know it can kind of be one of these little invasive kind of feelings, but you know, it's all public information. We don't need their social security number or any of that kind of stuff. It's a tool to help us. Now, we take that, but we also take personal knowledge, you know, kind of, because I'm telling you, I know people that have money, and you pull them up, and you don't see it.
I was gonna say the same thing.
And you're like,
often do
how does that happen? So you have to know, you know, I mean, they could hide it in LLCs or, you know, whatever. There's ways,
Yeah.
but it's just, you can't take it at its word. But it's a tool to help add into the other information you have.
It's a piece of the puzzle.
All right, so we're going to look on, starting on page 76 with prospect research. So when you're thinking about approaching a donor, you know, you've got to be cultivating them and talking with them, but it doesn't hurt to, you know, look at other sources too. You know, Google people, look at their LinkedIn profile. There's a lot of different things to do. But in a capital campaign, you're going to want to have a committee, a prospect evaluation committee, whatever you want to call it. And it's usually comprised of people like maybe real estate people in your organization, bankers, people that may know some information. It's a completely confidential group, and you know, you have to talk about that and talk about this is just to help us further our mission, but this is not to be shared outside of the room. So in the old days when I first started with consulting, we weren't using Donor Search. It may have been in its early infancy, but we would just kind of start with a blank slate and say, okay, what do you know about these people? What do you think they might, okay, first of all, how inclined are they to give? What are they capable of giving? It may not be the same, you know. and then come up with a number. And now, at least with donor search and wealth engine and things like that, we can kind of come up with our own, what it looks like on paper by the data, what we think that they're capable of giving. And we can tell if they're philanthropically inclined, because do they give to other organizations. But you take that and then the other information, and you kind of fine tune what we think their astronaut is. Like, for example, donor search will give you what their capability is over a 5-year period. You know, a lot of times, like with the smaller schools and stuff, we'll do a 3-year campaign. You know, kind of figure all that out too. But that would be our starting point. And then the committee that you have is going to say, well, that sounds a little bit low, because I happen to know that they just sold a business, you know. Or they can say, well, they just had a death in their family. So it's got to do with, you're trying to determine the right amount you want to ask, but that's just part of the puzzle too. You need to find out who are the right people, or person, volunteer, or staff member that needs to go see that person. You know, who, if they have an issue with your executive director, you certainly don't want that person going and talking with them. So you need to know those things. Sis, there's a story there. And your face tells me.
Several.
So it's who, and it's also, you know, what are they interested in? What kind of projects are they interested in? You know, how much are we going to ask for? So there's a lot of things that you're trying to determine. So let me say this. All these puzzle pieces. One is a feasibility study, if they were interviewed. That's a puzzle piece. Prospect research is a puzzle piece. The personal information and knowledge is a puzzle piece, and the cultivation of that prospect is another piece. Putting all that together is what you're trying to do in order to be ready to ask that person. So you need to identify the suspects and prospects, and when you go to a campaign, like what we do with our clients, you know, they've got their list of donors. These are our major donors. These are our leadership type donors. Okay, well, who has given consistently? Like Rob was saying earlier, who's been given $50 a month, who's been giving, you know, $25 a month, whatever, consistently. Let's see what they are capable of, because during a campaign, we're going to step them up. You know, we also look at who outside of the organization might have a heart for what you do that's never been a donor. Okay, what's the plan there? Well, we need to get them somehow involved. An event, you know, I know sometimes, like at the school, we would have someone come and speak to the students. That was probably their first time ever on our campus. So find an excuse, if you really want to get that person involved, find an excuse to get them on site at your organization and see the good work that you do. Just like at the children's home, you know, Patrick went on site, saw what they did, saw the great things they were doing, and he was hooked. So if you can get someone to see what you're doing, you can hear it all day long, but until you really see it, then it makes a difference there. So when you think about identifying your suspects, look outside of your norms. Look outside of that group that you always go to. They're going to be an important part, but this is time to step out of the box and look at other areas. So you're looking at past donors, current donors. One thing I want to ask you too, do you keep a good record of your past board members? You know, I've been in situations where people say, yeah, we don't even know. I wasn't here then, and I don't know who they were. But you know, people that used to be involved, keep those people involved somehow, some way. You know, they're probably, oh, I'm off the board now. Don't have to put all that time in, but they still love the organization. So don't forget those people. Still show them some love.
Y'all have, for the colleges and schools and universities here, y'all have programs for seniors where you invite them to give before they graduate so that you can make a donor of them?
No, but we need it.
Yeah.
That's what we're working on now,
Yeah.
currently.
You know, I think that's what we need to do, is inculcate that philanthropic tradition and help form them while we got them.
Are you aware of a successful model where that's now taking place?
I'm thinking they're doing that at Emory. Yeah. Because when I was on the Board of Governors, I think I recalled an unbelievable statistic that said the average number of years before an Emory alum makes their first gift, on average, is like 18 years out of school. And they were thinking, whoa, we gotta do a better job than that, because those are 18 lost years.
If they found other interests and other things to give to
Yeah.
during the time.
Yeah,
SMU and Perkins, they start at the senior level now.
yeah, yeah.
Would
Build that
you
along.
really wanna, I mean, I would think you'd wanna start at freshman or sophomore level
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
really get them to talk to me.
And I think these phone-a-thon calling programs can help, you know, kind of get them into the groove of thing, into the understanding of why philanthropy is important, things like that. It's kind of going back to the fact that we are not only inheritors of this tradition, we're guardians of it as well. So we need to do our part in that kind of formation.
Another thing I don't know that people really capture enough is like on school applications or whatever, and you have this thing they fill out when they enroll. You know, you find out where the parents work, but what's their title?
Yeah, we're
You know?
kind of struggling with that right now.
I mean, are they a cashier or they own a business?
Yeah. Right.
So that's important to capture. Anytime you have some kind of an event, have some kind of a response, something available that people fill out. At school, like if you have Grandparents' Day.
Right.
You know, at our school, we used to have pastors and pizza or something like that. And, you know, of course, pastors don't give that much, but.
Thursday night, we're doing that.
Oh, are you?
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Moms and muffins,
Just
dads and
eat.
donuts, whatever you do. Yeah.
Y'all are all invited.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. We'll have a little desk and a card and you can make out your pledge card.
Well, you gotta be careful with that.
Oh,
Well, you gotta be careful with them just filling out a pledge card. What if we're gonna ask them for $1 million and they fill out a pledge card for $1,000?
oh.